Treyarch have just dropped the patch notes for the biggest update yet in Black Ops 6 Zombies, which is due to release tomorrow for Season 1, where they've addressed a bunch of issues in both maps, Terminus and Liberty Falls. They've done some weapon tuning, made changes to the UI, as well as some gameplay improvements, which should make your live playing zombies that little bit better. So let's go ahead and take a look at the main changes that Treyarch have made to zombies. As you'd expect, they've fixed a bunch of bugs and glitches that exist in the game, things that aren't working as intended, but as far as changes that you will notice that I want to point out. So the first thing Treyarch have done on Terminus is they've changed the location of the ammo cache that you can find on the seaside path. So this one right here, they don't say where they've moved it to, and they also don't say why, because I never really had a problem with it. I use it every now and again. It's in a location that you tend to walk past quite often, perhaps because it's a tight area. You don't really have time to stop here and purchase ammo. It's really just a grab and go, so maybe that's why they've changed the location of it. But yeah, I'm interested to see where they've moved it. A big update that they've done on Liberty Falls, and they only put this in the Liberty Falls section, not in Terminus, even though it applies to the Manglers, and we have them on both maps. But they've updated the first Mangler whose arm is blown off to always drop a Mangler cannon instead of only the first Mangler that spawns. To be honest, I never really thought about it. I know that if you shoot an arm off a Mangler, you get its cannon. As far as I was aware, you just got one every time you successfully shot off its arm. But apparently, according to this, if I'm reading it correctly, if you had more than one Mangler on the map at once, you could only get the cannon off the first one that spawned in. So any of the other 7 Manglers on the map won't drop you a cannon if you accidentally killed the first one that spawned in instead of shooting off its arm. Whereas now what they've done is made it so any of those 7 Manglers on a round, you can shoot off its arm and you will get a cannon off it. You will still only get 1 cannon, so you can't shoot all 7 arms off them and get 7 cannons, but that's a good change. Another major difference has been made to one of Juggernaut's augments, Turtle Shell. Now this thing honestly is awful. The reason is because if you equip this, okay, you are more protected from behind, but from the front you're totally open, and because the zombies are going to come at you from the front, I would say 80% of the time you're facing towards the zombie horde, you're careful of what's behind you. Turtle Shell is more of a hindrance. It's really not a good augment. It sounds good from the description, and you would think it's good because we used to have shields back in Black Ops 3, Black Ops 2. You could craft them on the bench, place them on your back, and they would be super helpful not getting hit from behind. That's the idea of Turtle Shell, but because in Black Ops 6, your armor is then affected from the front, from my playing time using it, I ended up taking more damage off my regular HP with Turtle Shell on than without it. There are 2 other major augments, I'm pretty sure it is, for Juggernaut that are just way better than this. So Treyarch have changed it slightly, meaning it will now apply damage mitigation when you are grabbed by an amalgam, which is great, but I can't say I've ever died to one of them in Terminus. I get grabbed by them an awful lot, and even though that takes you down to like 1 HP, I always manage to get away and not get hit by any of the zombies around me. For some reason, maybe I'm just really good at the game, but I've never died to an amalgam in 2 minutes. If I found that was a big issue for me, then this would be a great change, but really Treyarch just need to make it so that Turtle Shell applies armor to your back, but also doesn't take away its effects from the front. It needs to work like the shield used to in zombies, otherwise it's more than a pointless augment. This makes it slightly better, but it still doesn't sound worth it to me. Treyarch have also increased Dart Flare's damage from 25% to 40% of the base zombie's max health per trick. Honestly, I haven't even touched that field upgrade once. I always use Frenzied God, so I can't really comment on that, how bad it was before or how much better it's going to be now. They've also reduced self-damage from the LDBR, which is this score streak where you can have missiles rain down on the ground. That was a big problem. I used it a lot in week 1, but since then I try to swap it out if I find another score streak on the ground, just because it was very easy to get caught up in its fire. Treyarch have realized that as well, so they've made it so you don't take as much damage from it. Funnily enough, it can still damage you. I wonder if it would have been better if they just made it so you can't get hurt by your own score streaks, but that's better than nothing. So those are all the changes they've made to the maps, but as far as everything else goes, some other things I want to show you. So for AFK detection, which I know affects everyone, it's something I've literally just gone through. I put my controller down, or I'm playing the game and I've been kicked from a match. I'm not going to begin to talk about the timer situation, but they say they've updated the detection logic to determine if a player is AFK during an active match. This should reduce the amount of false positive AFK kicks in zombies. How you're even getting AFK kicked anyway if you're playing the game? I mean, if you're not, that's totally fair. I don't know how long you can stand still for any game of zombies before it's determined that you're AFK. And also, how is that even possible? Because you've got zombies chasing you constantly. A monkey bomb lasts for like 30 seconds, so does the cat's meow mechanism. There is no way in a game of zombies for you to be ignored for more than like 30 seconds. So how is the game determining that you're AFK in that amount of time? How can you even be determined to be AFK in zombies? It's pretty much impossible, unless it has something to do with the bank vault code or the code inside of the secret room in Liberty Falls. But even then, you get kicked off it after about 30 seconds, I think. So I'm not even sure how that's possible, but Treyarch have updated their detection logic so that there's less of a chance you'll get kicked if you're AFK. And they've also added an AFK kick warning UI to zombies. And then talking about the UI, they've made a change to how you can actually see the gobblegums because they are pretty difficult to read. My eyesight's 20/20, I don't want to brag, but I will admit the text and the name for the gobblegums is very small. You do have to squint to see it if you're on a small screen. And then the final few changes which are worth pointing out, they've added a highest round icon to the AAR when reaching a new personal highest round. They've added a timer to the scoreboard, which I guess is useful if you're timing yourself, completing Easter eggs, or just seeing how fast you can get up to round 40. It adds an essence of competition, and they've put in notifications when you pick up intel. As you can see going through this list, there's loads of other things, but the final major changes that Treyarch have made are to the assault rifles. They say the recent changes to assault rifles in zombies were an unintended carryover from a global weapon tuning pass. We do not intend to inherit all MP weapon tuning without looking how it affects zombies tuning as well. We have corrected this in this update, while also making a pass on increasing the damage performance of ARs in zombies. All ARs have had their Pack-a-Punch based damage and overall critical damage increased. Additionally, the HE1 launcher has also gotten a buff to become more useful at stopping hordes of zombies. When Pack-a-Punched, it will now have more stock ammo and larger explosions with more overall damage. So if I'm not wrong here, Treyarch made a tune to the assault rifles in multiplayer, but also accidentally carried that over into zombies when they didn't mean to, and so they're correcting this in this update. And whilst doing that, they've also increased the damage on all of the ARs as well. I think this is a really welcome change because shotguns are really still the meta in Black Ops 6 Zombies. They have been ever since the new point system was introduced back in Cold War. Technically, Black Ops 4 it was first changed, but especially since Cold War, Vanguard, Modern Warfare 3, now in Black Ops 6, weapons that have high damage are just the meta. Whereas back in the old days, you would use weapons that would build you points, so ones that would fire quickly and not necessarily kill these zombies the quickest. I mean, in BO3, you'd use something like the Dingo or the AK, which was still high in damage, but if you really wanted to kill the zombies, you would use something like a Drakon or a shotgun. But if you did that, you wouldn't get the max amount of points from it. Now in this new iteration of zombies, because you only get points when you kill a zombie, not for every shot, like I said, that means shotguns and snipers, just because of the damage they do, and the Pack-a-Punch versions of the pistols, which turn them into the Mustang and Sally, are all way more effective than assault rifles. The same can be said for SMGs and the pistols, besides from the Mustangs. But if Treyarch can increase the damage of the assault rifles to put them more on par with the shotguns or snipers, then that does give people more of a reason to use them. At the end of the day, you want a weapon that's going to take the zombies out the fastest and do the most damage to them. How good this change will really be, will it make assault rifles viable now? I know a lot of people use them just to change things up or get camos, but in terms of general gameplay or doing Easter eggs, they're probably not your best bet, and it's a shame because from World at War to Black Ops 3 Zombies, you felt like you could spin the mystery box and just take whatever weapon out of it, besides from 1 or 2, Pack-a-Punch it, and it would be more than viable. But now in Black Ops 6, also because we have loadouts, you either spin the mystery box for the wonder weapon, or you just keep your loadout because that's already the best gun in the game. Okay, if I end up getting one that's a higher rarity of the weapon I've got in my hand, I might take it. There's like a 5% chance, but still then, I'd rather just keep what I've got because this is my weapon and upgrade it to that rarity myself. Zombies builds definitely helps with this in BO6, but it still didn't make, and from all of the gameplay I've seen of BO6, assault rifles, the best weapons to use. They're okay, but now with Treyarch increasing the damage, maybe they will be. So for the AMS 85, you can see pre-patch the bullet damage was 23, they've now made it to 26. They've also increased the critical multiplier from 4.23 to 4.51 and increased the critical damage as well. They've made all of the assault rifles more powerful, but if you compare them to the ASG 89, which is the best shotgun in Black Ops 6, actually they're pretty good. Just look at the ASG's damage numbers, it's 30 besides from the legs, and then for something like the AK, the new bullet damage number is 31 0.6. So yeah, I'm interested to try them actually. And then for the HE1 launcher, I've never used this, but you guys can let me know in the comment section below if it was worth it and if it will be worth it now. They've increased the stock ammo from 5 to 11, which is a big jump. They've increased the inner explosion radius from 0.4 meters to 3.25, which is huge. They've increased the mid explosion from 1.6 to 4.1 and the outer explosion from 3.26 to 5 meters. And then they've lowered the inner explosion damage, increased the mid explosion to 600 and increased the outer explosion from 220 to 400. So however good or bad this weapon was, judging by those stats, it's now 2 or 3 times better. That's also something I'm gonna have to try out. But yeah, besides from that, you can go and take a look at all of the patch notes. Everything else is just stability fixes and bugs and glitches fixing things that were broken in the game. But those are the main changes that Treyarch have made for the latest patch. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, drop a like rating, make sure you are subscribed, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.